Morning, everybody. Hey, Stephanie, how are you today?
Hello there. I
So
was
everybody
great.
can see us now. So we're live in the group. I think a lot of people are excited to hear you speak today. I know it's election day. I appreciate everybody for tuning in bright and early, whatever coast you're on. Hopefully everybody is doing your part to get out and vote, whoever that may be. And hopefully you're enjoying your day later today with a nice cold beer. Stephanie, are you getting your screen share ready?
I'm so sorry, everybody. My computer decided to just like choke and have a little coffee break right exactly now when I need it to not do that. So I'm
Well,
really
while we get
sorry.
ready to hear from Stephanie, just a reminder to everyone watching, we do these every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern. We kind of flip-flop from presentations like Stephanie, where she's going to educate us on all of her knowledge, to panel conversations. And next week, we're going to be doing a panel conversation, talking to brewery owners and taproom managers about the struggles we're going to face and how you're preparing for the colder weather. If you're interested in joining the panel, shoot me a message on Facebook or email me at andrew@craftbeerprofessionals.org. And also, a little over a month away, we do have Panel Fest. That's December 14th and 15th. It's both days, 11, 1, 3, 5, and 7 p.m. Eastern. We will be hosting a panel on all kinds of great topics, everything from diversity to being a great boss to the legal issues facing the craft beer industry today. So if you are interested in possibly joining a panel as well, we still have some openings, and you can sign up for that at craftbeerprofessionals.org. You'll see the form right on the website. And Stephanie, how is it coming along on your end with sharing that screen up there?
It is coming up any second now, but I can
Fantastic.
here we go. Okay. That was
Take a
stressful.
deep
I'm not
breath. Everybody's excited to watch
I
you today.
know. I hate having technical difficulties. Oh, especially as a geek. Like I view it as a personal affront from my computer that it would do this to me right
Well, it's
now, you
always
know?
fitting for 2020 that we always have some sort of, fun
Isn't it
issue to
though?
deal with.
I know. Like the whole computer just completely chokes right at the I've been working on it all morning too, so.
No, it's going to
Okay,
be a
so
good
the
presentation.
presentation is up. Okay. Yay, it's up. Okay, so now I just have to share this screen. And we are going to be ready to go. Again, I apologize, everybody, and something else will probably go wrong while I'm here too, because that's just how the day is
And to
going so
everybody who's
far, right?
watching, let us know where you're watching from in the comments. And as the presentation goes on, feel free to ask Stephanie any questions. She's yours for the next hour. And once you hit that share button,
We
boom,
have shared, you guys.
we have shared the miracle of technology. Well,
so
Stephanie,
so soon. I
the
know.
stage
No.
is now yours. I'm
So
disappearing, and
soon.
good luck out there.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew, and hello to everybody out there. Sorry for that glitch. Oh, I hate when that happens. It's always something, isn't it? So, today we are going to be talking about targeting your ideal customer. And that may or may not sound exciting to you, probably not. But what about the little AKA down there? This is also, we can think of this as how to get Bob to buy a beer, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And hopefully my slides will transition. Yay. Okay, so the question is, what are we doing here today? Why should we care about this? And again, like just to jump back for 1 second, your customer persona, getting Bob to buy a beer, we're mostly going to get to know Bob a little bit first. That actually convincing him to buy a beer is what we do with the information we're going to gather today. And don't read too much into Bob. I just picked a B word. It could be Brenda, Brandy, Bradley, Batman. It doesn't matter. It's your ideal customer, and we're going to get to know them a little bit better today. And the reasons why you should care about this are up on the screen right now. If you get to know your ideal customer and talk to them in their language and with messaging that resonates with them, you can save time, save money, differentiate yourself from the competition, build loyal raving fans, and do more of what aligns with your values and goals. In other words, do more of the stuff you like and not the stuff you hate. So those are some pretty good reasons for doing these things, right? So having having these ideal customer personas, or these sort of identities, these avatars, there's a lot of different terms people use. Some people call them an ideal client persona or a customer avatar or things. There's a lot of different terminology. There's a whole alphabet of letters that, your ICP, not Insane Clown Posse, but your ICP, your ideal customer persona is what we're going to talk about today. So when we figure this customer out, we get to know them very well. It makes all of your marketing efforts so much easier. It helps you to do things more cost effectively, more efficiently, and it's going to boost your sales. It's going to do all kind of good things for your bottom line and for your satisfaction in running your brewery. Now, I'm not seeing any comments in here. Oh, there's a couple. Okay, so yeah, don't forget, this is StreamYard. So if I'm going to see your name, you have to allow it I think there's a link there for you to allow StreamYard to use your Facebook name. So Aaron says his customer is called Barley. So we'll go, maybe we'll go with that. We'll see. And hey to everybody from all over that's leaving a little message. Thank you so much. Now let's jump right in. I'd like to give you a little bit of background on myself first, because here's why you should care about the customer persona, but why should you trust me to show you how to do it, right? So my name is Stephanie Hudson. I run Sweet Tea Craft Marketing, and I am, for the most part, a geek by day, except for when my computer hates me and it completely ruins my day. But I help craft breweries in North Carolina, South Carolina, and beyond to put butts on bar stools. That's what I'm here to do, to help you. I know that there's a lot of different ways to sell your beer, especially right now when there's been so many pivots made and things like that. But really, the most profitable beer is when you pour in your tap room. So we want to sell as many of those as possible in conjunction with lots of different areas. But I want to help you get your marketing in shape so that you can sell as much of the most profitable beer as possible. So without further ado, let's jump into an example. And it's sort of the names have been changed to protect the innocent, but this is an example of an ideal customer persona exercise, a strategy session that I went through with a brewery who shall remain nameless. And so I'm going to show you this here. The first, so we did a brewery persona first. Instead of just doing the only the customer persona, we also did the brewery persona, and you'll see why in just a minute. This was their persona, how they identified their brewery. Now, they had a very tropical theme going in the brewery and things like that. So this did make some sense. He's not polished. He's kind of a goofy, fun guy, smokes a cigar, wears flip-flops and a Hawaiian shirt. This is Vince. You can see him right there. Like, that's who they pictured as their sort of mascot or their identity in their brewery. And then we moved on to discussing their customer persona. So meet Jack and Kristen. Now, Jack and Kristen they're 28 to 30. They're young professionals. They're kind of hipstery. She wears Converse sneakers, and they have some tattoos, but they're sort of hidden away. And they've got about a $125,000 income. And, we can kind of get a picture. These guys. Oh, my slide jumped too far. But the point is, you've seen these two in all of your breweries as well, haven't you? So now we get to the question, though. Do these guys want to hang out? Well, oh, man, guys, I'm sorry. These slides just want to keep jumping ahead. So if we look at Vince and we look at Jake and Kristen, do these guys look like they are the kind of people that are hanging out? Is Vince the guy that these two trust and go to and want help with? Could they have a great time sitting at a bar together and drinking beers? Absolutely. But is this the ideal matchup for this business? Maybe not. So when we get to the end of a strategy session and we've identified your persona and your customer persona, it's a perfect opportunity to sort of have a conversation like that. Now, what are the options if this isn't the right matchup? What are the options? You can either target new customers or you can change your persona. Now, in the case of this particular brewery, they had a huge percentage of their traffic to their brewery was local. It was foot traffic from where they were located, and it was basically, you know, the Jakes and Kristens that were coming there. So that wasn't really an option for them to change their customers. So that left them the option to sort of modify their persona and how they communicate with their customers and sort of the vibe that they put off. So it ended up being a really useful exercise. We learned a lot more things that we're going to circle back to a little bit later in the talk. So let's see if this slide will go to just the next one like I want it to. Probably not. Now it won't go, even though it's going faster than it should before. So there we go. Okay. So we're talking about an ideal, you guys, I'm getting so frustrated. We're talking about an ideal customer. And what's ideal? What's your ideal customer? If you could name your ideal customer, you might say something like some guy who comes into the brewery and buys out the bar every single Friday and Saturday night. He spends tons of money. Okay, that might seem ideal, but that's not the ideal that we're talking about, because that isn't really based on reality. Even if that happened one time, you could spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars trying to find that person and get them into your brewery, and you wouldn't do it. You'd lose money. So the ideal customer persona needs to be based on reality. And now I see a question in there from Jared about, is this just geared towards getting more white males? Absolutely not. This is geared toward finding your ideal customer. And that's what we're going to do. So we want to base it on reality, like who are realistic customers that can come into your brewery and be the kind of people that you want to be around, be profitable for your business. We want to also find people that help you meet the goals of your business. And those goals are up to you. These are some examples listed here. You know, the dollar sign might be your top priority. I know a lot of you brewery owners and a lot of you guys, and girls, you're passionate and you care about what you do. You're artisans. So maybe somebody that shares your beliefs, supports your causes. Maybe those are the kind of people that you want to surround yourself with in your brewery. Maybe you're looking for a brand ambassador or someone who's loyal to your brewery. The phrase brand promiscuity is so icky, I think, but it means where someone, you know, will just bounce to any brewery. They're not loyal. They're not a loyal fan of your brewery. And maybe it's location, like with the example of Vince there. He had to find people that were local to him because foot traffic was so important. So this is where we're starting. This is the basic idea of how we're going to identify what ideal means. Because again, that term can seem kind of ambiguous potentially. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that, Jared, because we are talking about diversity now. This has nothing to do with exclusion, to be super clear. Like, there is nothing about excluding anybody. This is about identifying a certain portion of your audience to target with a very focused message. So it's not meant to exclude, it's meant to focus. Narrowing down your focus for your marketing is not at all about alienating and not working with people. It's not about blocking people out. It's about tailoring your message to the right person. And if white males are your ideal persona, that's completely up to you. That's not for me to judge. That's my role in this is to help you figure out who your ideal customer is. We've got a little example here. We've got short and tall, thin and not so thin, different ages, even children. Obviously, we're not targeting children, but what about families? Maybe that's somebody that you are targeting for your brewery. This is what we're doing. So what we're going to do now is sort of think about how we identify that person. And I hope that answered your question, Jared. And if anybody else has any thoughts on that, please do put them in the chat below. So now, any second now, My slide is going to change. I just know it. If I click again, it'll change to like 10 different ones. Oh, okay. I do like this picture though, so I'm not super mad that it keeps staying up there. So now what if we're going to go through and identify these customers, the basic concept when you're identifying your persona is to actually give them a name, like I showed you with Jake and Kristen. We want to identify demographic details, their interests, their behaviors, pain points, and things like that. Now, we're not selling, we're not selling plumbing services. So if you're a plumber, your ideal customer has a very specific pain point. Their toilet water is coming up instead of going down. So that's who they need to target. With a brewery, it's a little bit different because you're not really solving a pain point for them so much as potentially giving them an opportunity to achieve something that they want. They can feel good about what they're drinking. They can feel cool. Appreciate the just happened. Okay. There's a lot of different things that they could sociologically or economically, or there's a lot of different things that people could identify with and that would resonate with them when they come into your brewery. Maybe they like to exercise before their beer. Maybe they want to go hear music with their friends. Maybe they want a space for a quiet date night. Maybe they want something that's a concert. There's so many different things that could resonate with an individual. And that's where we find this marriage of the things that your ideal customer is looking for and the things that you most want to provide. So once we learn all of this information about your target customer, then we say like, okay, well, now what? So like in the case of Jake and Kristen. Well, let me show you let me click on this to see if the next bit of the slide will come up. So where you advertise. Well, is your customer, your ideal customer, or what social platforms are they on? Are they someone who commutes to work and might see billboards? Do they listen to the radio in their car? Or are they only listening to podcasts? Maybe you could have a podcast or advertise on a podcast. Maybe Google is the best spot. If they're on TikTok, are you willing to get on TikTok? There's a lot of things that you could consider. And so like when you learn where your customer is, it teaches you how to find them and how to talk to them. The content on your website. If we're going to bring a customer to your website, are you giving them what they want? Do you have a blog that talks to them? When you start to have something like Jake and Kristen, and it's time to publish a blog post or put a Facebook post up or an Instagram story, you can actually, instead of thinking like, I like this or I don't like this, instead it switches your mindset and you say, would this resonate with Jake and Kristen? I think Kristen would love to see this bit of content, or I think Jake would really love reading about this brew that we just did and all the specific details and the fiasco that happened in the meantime and how we rescued it. Things like that. What do your ideal customers want to know? What do they want to hear about you? What do they want to learn? What can you share with them? What will resonate with them? Again, the advertising is a little bit about mediums, but media, I think it's supposed to be media, but that feels awkward. Are you, again, with the content on your website, social media? What about starting a podcast? Do you create videos? Put them out on YouTube or run them on your website or on your social channels? Have you thought about doing a virtual hangout? When the coronavirus first hit, we started doing a virtual beer garden. We had a great time. We made so many great contacts, and it really it was amazing how much it resonated, to the point when things opened back up, I would get text messages every week at the time that we would do it saying, is the beer garden on tonight? Is the beer garden on tonight? So different mediums resonate and are, you got to go where your people are. Your taproom experience. When we went into a deep dive on Jake and Kristen, we talked about the reasons that they went to the brewery. We talked about what they did when they were there. One of the things was it was a convenient spot for them to grab a quiet dinner. It was like a mini date night during the week for them. They could go and sit there. So, do you have food? Is the, if that's important to somebody, if they're going to get dinner after work, do you have, do you have, do you have to go to two spots? Do you have to go here to get food and then go over to your brewery to get a beer? Or what is the environment in there? Is it someplace where couples go? Are couples part of your ideal customer persona? Do you have quiet spaces where they can have some privacy and talk quietly together? Or is it more of a social experience where it's more community tables? I know everything is different now, but the types of people that we're talking about, these things all matter, social distancing notwithstanding. So, what is the seating arrangement? We decided that for that particular brewery, it would be best to have community space where people would get to know each other and meet new friends, because there was so much local foot traffic. It was a great opportunity for people to meet their neighbors, and they had an opportunity to then really foster their friends were going to be there. So that was one of the things, but then also having a couple small two tops in different places where if someone just wanted to come and have a quiet beer and a bite to eat, they could do that too. So there was all of this. Have you ever gone to a brewery with some friends because you wanted to sit around, have a beer and talk, and there was a blaring mediocre guitar player with his amp too loud in the corner? It can ruin your experience. So you have to understand what people are coming to your brewery for, all of these things. So once you get to know these people, you think like, hey, are Jake and Kristen into that kind of music? Is that what they listen to when you have people approaching you asking if they can come and book with you, when you have your food trucks coming, all of these things, instead of throwing the spaghetti against the wall, you can actually think about people that you've invented them, but they're based on reality. Again, remember, they're based on data. So you can think of them as you make the decisions about your brewery. Next up, we have events. So this is another element that has a lot to do with the space that you're in, not so much the digital world, but are your ideal customers, are they sports fanatics? If so, are you going to have the Panthers games on the TVs on Sundays? Is that something that is the environment that you want to foster? Are those the people that you want to bring in? If you are targeting sports fans, you're going to have football on the TVs on Sunday, and you're probably going to get wings or some other kind of sports type food in there on those days too. So knowing who that person is, you could say like, Jake never misses a Panthers game. If we don't have that on, he's going to go somewhere else. So that's another way to identify that. Are they into health? Are they a run club, yoga club type? Are they earning their beer? Or is it the Earn Your Beer crew? Again, with the music, things like that. Are these people going to go to festivals? Are they going to wear your brand proudly when they go to show that they are there supporting you? I hope you're getting the idea. Another element is the messaging. So this sort of applies to all of these, and there's tons of overlap with all of them anyway. But the messaging, that word is sort of a marketing word, and I don't know if it is one that you guys use much of, but basically that means, how do you talk to someone? What is your tone? What kind of vocab are you using? Is it formal or informal? Are you goofy? Are you witty? Are you serious? Are you intellectual? Do you swear when you type things? Do you use emojis and GIFs? All of those different things. You can probably think in your mind of some breweries that you follow on social, and you know that they have completely different tones. They have different messaging, and getting that right it's a bit nebulous, especially if you're not immersed in the marketing world. But if you can nail that, that does amazing work to solidify your brand and to really target those customers. And when you can get that messaging right, those customers feel like you're really talking to them. They feel like they're your friend. They feel like they trust you and they want to come and sit at your bar and drink your beer. Um, Aaron asked a question in the chat. Are there any mediums that you find work best for the beer industry for marketing? Obviously, social media is huge. Social is, I mean, Facebook, Instagram, your stories, they're so big. I think a lot of the, the millennial generation and the next one that's coming up, I can never remember what they're called, but the ones that are of drinking age now, they're all on Snapchat and TikTok. Is that your platform? Those are a little tougher. They're not for everyone. If you're just 10 years older than the people who have come up on those platforms, it can be very difficult to find your footing and to get it right. Because if you're trying to talk to a 22-year-old on their social media platform and you kind of mom it, if you don't quite get it just right, if you talk about the Facebook, like some people's moms do occasionally, I love you, mom, then you have to be authentic still too. So depending on which social channel is, again, up to knowing who that ideal customer is, where they're at, and how they want to be spoken to. So again, social, of course, but I always have a caveat with that you don't own a single thing on social media. You don't own your Facebook content. You don't own your Instagram content, none of it. So my recommendations and suggestions are always to use those social platforms as a tool to get people to your website, where you can then control their behavior a little bit more, where you own everything that's there, and where you can capture their email address and stay in touch with them, even if Facebook, for some reason, decides to shut down your account, which I have seen done. We've probably all seen it. I had a client who was about to do a huge promotion, and the day of, she'd done tons of work, spent tons of money. Day of, Facebook shut down her account and wouldn't run her ad. She couldn't run any of her contests. And she spent hours and hours trying to figure out what was wrong, to get through to them. 2 days after the whole thing was over and she'd missed her shot, Facebook came back and said, "Oh, sorry, we flagged something, but it turns out it was okay." So that's a scary thing to have happen. If you have people's email addresses and other contact information, then you still have a method of getting in contact with them, even if, the big blue shuts you down or any of these other things, or if you have other technical issues, which, could happen to some people. Anyway, so I think, Generation Z. Thank you, Aaron. I never can remember. So that's what I would say about that. All of the different mediums and things they're ultimately they're best in conjunction with one another as a web, and using them as tools to leverage one another. But of course, your website is what you own, so you got to make sure you keep that one tight. Okay, now imagery is the last one on our list, and this speaks to a lot really to do with the social media platforms. But again, as that's one of the biggest, like the most prominent presences that you guys have, it is important. What is the style of the imagery that you put up, and what is the content of it? Are you mostly doing front of house things? Are you showing happy people drinking your beer? Are you showing artsy shots of a beer on the railing with the sun coming down over the city? Things like that. Are you doing behind the scenes things on brew days? Stuff like that. What is the content that you're putting out there, and what do your customers want to see? I'm not a brewer. I don't understand brewing, but I do enjoy seeing behind the scenes things. So I don't want that to be the whole feed though. So you have to kind of know. So if I'm your ideal customer, you might need to show a couple times things that are happening behind the scenes and maybe educate me a little bit, but then also show the beers in the tap room with people enjoying them, artsy shots, things like that. So again, getting to know your customer. For example, the fact that I just said I like having a little education. If you have customers, your ideal customers that are homebrewers themselves, they might be insulted, or you might be speaking down to them if you share too much. So again, this all comes back to knowing exactly who you're talking to. any second now the next slide's going to come up. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. I hope that this was useful. There is a ton that you can learn, a ton of actionable information that you can get from really focusing up and identifying your ideal customer. It is a tricky thing to do. It's entirely possible to do it yourself, to go through and think about these people, give them a name, maybe find a stock photo like I showed you, and really think about them as a real human being instead of just a conglomeration of people. But I find, even for myself, it's very difficult to do it myself, even for my own business. For some reason, the exercise is difficult. It's hard for us to be honest. It's hard to recognize really what's out there. And so, it's nice to have help, and it's nice to have a guide. If you are looking to improve the way you communicate with your customers and to get more of your ideal customers into your tap room, or swinging by for pickups, of course, as we have right now, I do offer a strategy session where we go through and identify your brand persona and your customers' brand personas. And on this slide, there's a link and a coupon code, Andrew, because we love our Andrew. And he's such a great guy, isn't he, everybody? So sweettea.beer is my website. You can just go check me out there if you'd like to. And sweettea.beer/ICP. Remember, that's not Insane Clown Posse. And then use the coupon code Andrew. You could save 20% on a strategy session. And then you can save even more, another 20%, if you decide to do some work and implement some of the things with me. But either way, it's the report and the information is there for you to use. Now, I hope that I feel like this has been a whirlwind. I think I've been talking so fast because I was all stressed out about my tech. So I'm sorry if I blew through all of that, but I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has them. If anybody wants to talk about their specific customer persona, ask something very specific, or if you would like to ask a general marketing question, I am here for it. What is the most common marketing mistake that you see breweries make, says Aaron. That is like, why you got to make me call people out, Aaron? I don't want to say what people are doing wrong, but really, honestly, if I'm truly honest, I see so many people in this industry that are so passionate about what they do that they take it all so personally, and it's very difficult for them to separate the emotion and the passion that they feel for this craft and to actually view it as a business that they need to make more logical and non-emotional decisions on. And so sometimes going through something like an exercise like this helps that, because when we are tied up with emotion, and it doesn't even mean we're getting weepy. I don't mean emotion like that. I mean, our brains blind us to the truth a lot of the time because of ingrained personal preferences we have. And even, as we were talking about with the diversity issue that has been so rampant in our country, in the world, really, there's so many things that if we can strip away the emotion and get down to the root of what we're talking about, like with these customer personas, it's incredible the insights that we can receive that we can then make decisions based on. So I don't know. That didn't even answer your question, did it? I talked all the way around it. Andrew, do you have anything to add? I don't know how long you want to hang out. Me and Aaron could just keep talking all afternoon. I love that dude. Let me see here what he's got. Nope. Andrew says we're good to go. So if that's it, if there's no other, I see one more comment here. Let me see. Someone here. Okay. So I can't see your name. I'm sorry, because you didn't do the silly StreamYard thing. Facebook user says, is there a way to politely change your customer persona? True life example. We spent years cultivating an environment that welcomed family and dogs. Now, due to our state, regional COVID restrictions, we can no longer cater to this clientele. This is actually a really important question. Customer personas are not necessarily meant to be, in fact, they're absolutely not meant to be finite. Now, it can be difficult if you go really all in on something like people who have dogs and they literally legally can't bring them into your tap room anymore. So that's a very extreme but very real case right now for you and for many others. But your customer personas can and should be tweaked and modified and changed as time goes on, as you change, as the business changes, as your fans change. You can always modify it. Now, when you are talking about how to change based on this crisis that we're in, there's a lot of sensitivity that needs to take place. Now, I don't know your specific example, but I'm sure that they are not the only people that were coming into your tap room. There probably weren't only families and only people with dogs. And people with families and people with dogs can still come and buy your beer if they, even if they can't sit in the tap room the same way. Also, there was probably other people in the tap room as well. So maybe you make sure that you shift your marketing messaging and your Facebook posts and things like that. Identify that type of customer and start talking to them a little bit more and see if that doesn't start rising the tide in some other areas. I think that's it. There was something else I was thinking about a little bit too, just sort of as a final closing thought. But have you ever felt, I know a lot of you have you ever felt bitter or like annoyed that you have to make yet another IPA, or you have to make seltzer, or you have to make a glitter beer, whatever it is that you've done to please the market or to please whoever you think you're supposed to be pleasing. You think that's the only thing you can make. Maybe you're trying to keep up with the other breweries around the block. Now, those things might be the right decision for your business. And that's totally fine if it is. But I know there are people that get frustrated with that sometimes. So what if in doing that, and the reason you feel you have to do that is because you've actually been talking to the wrong clientele all along? If you can identify those who really have the same value system and the things that resonate with you resonate with them, and their tastes in beer, their value system with beer even is the same as yours, then you could systematically target those people and do more of what you love and make more money doing it. Like, it's like a best case scenario. Okay. Another question. What would be your number one thing to implement once you have identified your customer persona for someone who sucks at marketing stuff? Don't feel bad. I suck at brewing beer. In fact, I can't do it at all. So we all do what we're good at. I think number one would be to refine your messaging, because that carries through to all of those different mediums. It carries through to, whatever social media platform you're on, whatever you're putting on your website, whatever you're even saying on the phone when somebody calls in to ask you a question. If you change your messaging, when you identify those people, I mean, some people actually like print pictures or get cardboard cutouts of them in the back office, things like that, so that you're always thinking of that person and you're talking to them. So just think back to that slide that had the picture of the guy in the Hawaiian shirt with a cigar and the millennial couple. If you were going to just have a conversation with them, can you see how your words might be slightly different? And it's nothing to do with being fake or disingenuous or anything like that. It's human nature. We speak to people generally how they speak. We mirror people. So if you can get that messaging down, that will start to influence all of these other things that you're doing. If there are no other questions, I think I will go ahead and sign off. I am available in the chat. If you tag me, I'll be around all afternoon so I can answer any more questions like that. I'm also always up for a quick Zoom chat if anybody wants to talk and ask a couple other questions personally. I have a sign up form. Send me an email, stephanie@sweettea.beer. I'll send you a link to jump on my calendar. And if you would like to get a copy of the slide deck, also you can shoot me an email and I'll be happy to send it over to you. All right. Well, thanks you guys so much. It was great to be here. Thank you to Andrew. Thank you to everybody who asked questions. Cheers to all of you guys. And I will see you soon.